I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, this is Roy Potter. This is a it's an impromptu, but as you can see, I'm kind of disoriented here in the studio. But I just had to come and give you an update on a couple of things. Again, I'm Roy Potter. This is the Potter Expositor, and it is the late afternoon of the 16th of April, 2019. Now, I've talked on this thing. I've labeled it. The title is that DiGenova is 100% DiGenova. Joe DiGenova, the former D.C. U.S. attorney, is absolutely 100% positive that Barr is going to be active on this and go after the coup plotters, all the way to filing criminal charges if that's what the probable cause shows. And, of course, we all know that it's all there. It's just how they're going to get around some of the excuses they're going to have, as I talked about earlier today, from the conservative treehouse and the last refuge, how they'll use the FISA thing and all of that, the defendants in this situation, to try to make excuses for their behavior. But I think that according to DiGenova, it looks like they're going to be able to get around that. So this was on the Bill O'Reilly podcast. I don't have the link for you. I just saw it. And I don't have time to put it up because I've got a lot of other things to do, and I just wanted to tell you that this is what's going on. So Joe DiGenova went on the Bill O'Reilly podcast and made this statement that, yes, Bill Barr, DiGenova is 100% certain that Bill Barr is going to go after the coup plotters. So that goes along with the things I was talking about today with this D.C. Attorney Lou that's been realized by Barr to be a problem, and where the information finally hit Barr solidly that this was a spying operation on the President of the United States and his supporters, those in his administration. So I wanted to mention that real quick. Also, what's happened, and I think this is incredibly important, you know who Judicial Watch is. Judicial Watch with Tom Fitton and Chris Farrell and that entire thing there. Okay, let me give you a little background story. And I'm going to thank the people that sent this to me today. Again, like I said earlier in my earlier transmission, there are people that send me information, and I just got this, and for the sake of your privacy and all that, I don't say who you are, but I want to give the viewers of this to understand that I'm getting help with some of this information. And this just came in today, and I'm very happy to report this because it shows that I don't really trust Roberts on the Supreme Court, and of course, even though he's supposedly a conservative and the Chief Justice, and Kavanaugh is kind of like, I don't know how I want to say this. He kind of follows Roberts along. But a good thing happened today. You know the situation with the Bundy Ranch and how the federal government tried to set up the Bundys, went against grazing laws, land rights, and all of that to try to get them, and then tried to set them up. Same thing with the Hammonds. That was with Uranium One, the Clinton deal up in Oregon, and then this thing in the Bundy Ranch in Nevada was basically about getting land for the Chinese through Harry Reid, and probably Clinton was going to get a piece of that too. I don't know that for sure, but the point is that there's been this push by the EPA, by the BLM, and those types of agencies to go after our hardworking American ranchers, farmers, etc. Well, there was a case. I want to read some of this. I don't want to read the whole thing because it's way too long. But the link, I believe, is in the description box. See how unprepared I am here because I wanted to get this up really quick. Let me take a look and see. Yes, it's in the description box. Judicial Watch action brings Supreme Court reversal of conviction of veteran. Let me give you the background on this. I followed this while it was going on, and this it's a sad story, but it's also a good story. The Judicial Watch submitted documents in the defense of a veteran who is in Montana, and his name was Robertson. And what this vet had done was he owned his land and he made a pond. Well, just like they went after the rancher up in Wyoming for making a pond, the EPA and the BLM, they did the same thing to this vet. So they took it to, guess what? The court convicted him, and he was sentenced to a fine in jail. He was 78 years old. Isn't that just nice? They don't protect us in our rights. They're there to stomp on us, and the DOJ and the BLM and the EPA were behind this travesty against this veteran. So you may remember the story. And so what happened here is that his attorneys went to the Ninth Circuit Court. Of course, the Ninth Circuit, is all about stomping on the conservatives, especially veterans, anybody who's not an SJW and a leftist. So, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera. That camera doesn't work. This one does. That tells you how, quick I tried to set this up. So, it went to the Ninth Circuit. They upheld the lower court decision of the conviction. Then Judicial Watch went to the Supreme Court. Let me just read you a little bit of this, okay? SCOTUS overturned decision upholding Robertson's conviction and remanded the case so that the indictment could be dismissed and the lien canceled. The lien was so that they could pay the fine against his estate because he died. So he died without being vindicated, but he is being vindicated now. So let me read this. Judicial Watch announced today that the Supreme Court of the United States has overturned a lower court decision affirming the conviction of Joseph Robertson, a 78-year-old veteran now deceased, who was sentenced to prison for digging ditches on his rural Montana property to protect the area surrounding his home from wildfires. He also had a pond there too, I believe. Judicial Watch had filed an amicus curiae brief jointly with the Allied Educational Foundation supporting Robertson and urging Supreme Court review and reversal of the lower court decision. Get this. They actually put this old vet in prison for this nonsense. Robertson served 18 months in prison and died while serving probation. And we have a just government? And this is BLM, EPA, and the DOJ, ladies and gentlemen. He was also fined $130,000, a liability that was inherited by his estate. The Supreme Court also remanded Robertson's conviction to the lower court so the indictment can be dismissed and the lien can be canceled. Judicial Watch and the EF had asked the Supreme Court to review the ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, no surprise there, that upheld Robertson's conviction because that decision, quote, affirmed illegal agency actions in prosecuting Joseph Robertson based on a misreading of federal law. The court should take this opportunity to correct the confusion and overboard interpretations of the Clear Water Act, which have led to unjust prosecutions and federal intrusions into both state authority and individual liberty. I won't read it anymore. The link is in the description box below. But this is what we've been dealing with. This is the situation in the Bundy Ranch deal and the Hansen case in Oregon. Of course, the Hansens were pardoned by President Trump, and rightly so. The Bundy's case was dismissed, but then the DOJ refiled. I don't know what the status of that is right now, but they refiled an appeal to the Ninth Circuit to have Judge Navarro's dismissal overturned so they can go back and try them again. Totally unjust use of the system. I don't know where that sits right now, but it shows you how despicable still these leftist Marxists and these people in the DOJ and the FBI and the BLM and the EPA, all that, are trying to enforce United Nations ideas, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, etc., onto the American people and try to trick them out of their rights by having them sign agreements with the BLM, etc., to help them manage their land, which really what it is that they surrender their rights to the BLM. And what it is in contract law when you do that is you're not I forget what the exact legal term is, but the entire scope of the contract is not revealed, and I forget what the legal name is right now. But in other words, they don't tell you all of the ramifications, and they do it on purpose. And it's not just fine print; it's the way it's worded and some other things. So, at any rate, good on. Here we are again. Here's Judicial Watch, not the DOJ protecting the rights of the American people, not the FBI, but a private organization, Judicial Watch, and this educational, what they call it? Well, AEU, I think was the name of it. They're the ones that went to the rescue. Our government is out of control. I hope Barr can get this reined in. But a lot of it has to do with us giving up our sovereignty to the UN and to this Agenda 21 and 2030 crap, other treaties that we have no business in putting ahead of the rights and responsibilities of the American people. So I won't beat the dead horse on that. I just wanted to bring that up. And then I want to show you this. I use the conservative treehouse in the last refuge a lot. I've told you about them. I talked about it today. I read that entire article that talks about U.S. Attorney Lou, right? And how she was very much involved in this whole thing with Russiagate and Spygate and trying to cover up all these different things that have been happening in the Congress and in the White House, etc. Well, I guess it was just now. I didn't see this earlier today. Let me bring this over. I put this in here so we can take a look at it. Wait till you see this. This is so cool. Congratulations to the conservative treehouse and the last refuge. Donald Trump tweeted out this graphic. I'll read this to you. This is from Donald Trump, and this is what he says. A must-read. Andy McCarthy's column today. Dirty dealings of dirt devils who concocted Trump-Russia probe, the greatest scam in political history. If the mainstream media were honest, which they are not, and that means the IC, especially the CIA, is not either because they're all propaganda arms of the CIA. I hope he goes that far one of these days. This story would be bigger and more important than Watergate someday, he says. This graphic was made in 2017, I believe, was the information, and Trump used it today to show the guilty parties as he sees it. So I want to send out a congratulations to the conservative treehouse and the last refuge that their graphic here made it into a presidential tweet. It really shows that these good folks at the conservative treehouse and the last refuge are worth their salt. So I just wanted to bring that up. Every chance I get to give them a few kudos, the conservative treehouse and last refuge, I want to do it. But this is very important. You all can go into the conservative treehouse. I'm sure we'll have this somewhere. This was on President Trump's tweet today, one of them. So, but you can go to the conservative treehouse, I'm sure, and download this also, and it'll kind of help you understand the people that are involved in what's going on. It's more extensive than this, but this is great. So I just wanted to leave that with you so that you all will know what's going on and the kind of things that grab my attention. And I won't get into the chat or anything because it is late in the day. It's dinner time for some of you folks, etc. But I just wanted to give this update to you and say I'm not saying that the clouds are parting and the sunshine's coming through and all of that. I'm not saying that because there's still a lot here that's very, very bad. But if things continue to go this way, I think that we can look at some justice, not just coming down upon those who have been criminals and traitors and seditionists in our government against the president, but possibly also, as Judicial Watch did for this veteran, Mr. Robertson, set things right for the American people and all of the injustices that they have suffered under the hands of this unruly, ungodly, demonic criminal government and its bureaucratic agencies. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Like I said, I just wanted to make this short and give you that little overview. So I guess we'll go ahead and move out. Pam Jones sent me a couple of additional. Well, I guess she heard that there had been a complaint that some of my things were too long, and I'm going to stick with those. But I'm going to go ahead and play this one. I think it's kind of cool, and it's short. It's less than a minute. And again, Pam Jones, if you're listening, thank you. I will be getting a hold of you shortly, and I'll explain why I didn't get a hold of you sooner, okay? All right, here we go. Out here until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot.